Illustration of Socrates having a conversation with a little boy. The little boy, he wanted to know, how can I be wise? Socrates took the boy down to a lake. Socrates grabbed his head and dumped his head into the lake, and he held it down for approximately 5 seconds, and he brought him back up. So Socrates asked the little boy, he said, what did you want more than anything when your head was dumped into the lake? The little boy said, I wanted breath. I wanted to be able to breathe. Socrates said to him, once you want wisdom as much as you wanted to breathe underwater, then you will have wisdom. But until you want it that much, you will not have it.
I keep my head, both of them where they supposed to be.
One thought. In order to get ahead, you gotta have a head. I'd like to begin this particular lecture with a problem. One particular day, an Indian chief was walking along a path. That chief happened to stumble across an egg. Picking up that egg, he didn't know where it belongs, so he picked it up, and as he was walking, he ran into a nest of a chicken prairie nest. So he placed that egg in that nest. And later on, the chicken prairie, he sat on the egg, and that egg hatched. And lo and behold, once the egg was hatched, it came out, it was an eagle or eaglet. Now, this eaglet, it began to grow up around the chicken prairie. It began to cluck and peck just like a chicken prairie. So as time progressed, the chicken prairies, they were walking along, and the eaglet is walking along with the chicken prairies. As they're walking, the eaglets and the chicken prairie, they look up in the sky and they see an eagle. They noticed that the eagle was soaring, and the eaglet among the chicken prairies, he looked up and said, my, what majesty or mighty bird that is. And the chicken prairies, they looked at the eaglet and they said that, don't worry about that. You will never be able to soar like an eagle. Your place is on the ground. You will never be able to soar. You will never get in touch with that type of potential because you're fit to die and live with us. So, looking at that, the eaglet, he just put his head down and began to cluck and peck just like the chicken prairie. And I say, a lot of us are eagles, but we're hanging around chicken prairie. So all we're doing is clucking and picking worms from the ground. We never have gotten in tune or in touch with our true potential that's allowing us to soar and fly. And if we notice one thing about an eagle is very perceptive. And when I say perceptive, I mean an eagle has the ability to see things that the average chicken prairie would never be able to see. An eagle has mountain-like vision, meaning that he's able to rise above any condition and circumstance that he's in. So, you a chicken prairie, or are you an eagle? So, get in tune or get in touch with your nature. And how do you know if you're an eagle? Study the nature and the characteristic of an eagle. An eagle does not flock together. An eagle, you have to find an eagle one by one. So if you're flocking, then the chances are you may be a chicken prairie. Get in tune with your true potential. Throughout my incarceration, I had the ability to do a lot of reading. Because reading does for the mind what weights does for the body. Reading builds you up. It lets you know your true potential. It brings out things that's in you that you didn't even know were there. So as I'm reading this particular day, I ran across a poem. And I read this poem, and I was so moved and touched by the poem that I committed it to memory. And some years went past. This was probably in 2001 that I read the poem. So in 2006, I happened to be watching Invictus. This is a story by Mandela and his triumph of doing almost 30 years in prison. And as I'm looking at the movie, Mandela quotes the same poem that I was reading. I felt so empowered by the fact that a man of his magnitude, a man of his character, a man of his morals, a man of his principles, I felt so empowered that a man was reading the same thing that I was reading. And I want to quote that poem. The poem goes like this. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank God for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bloodening of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate or how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now, if you notice, a captain is the head of ships, because as captains, we all have a particular ship. Friendships, relationships, companionships. But during those times that the captains, that was the head of ships. It was the primary means of transportation. If you wanted to get from Europe to Africa, or from Africa to America, you had to take a ship. And on the ship, they had what they call a crow's nest. A crow's nest allowed the person that was up in the crow's nest is something that's high upon the ship. And it allowed that person to see, it allowed that person to tell the captain what things were coming. What things, or if it was storms, if it was land, if it was anything that was blocking the passage of the way that they were trying to go. So he warned them. So if we look at our friendships and our relationships, it should be people around us that's like that. They should warn us of things or dangers to come. And we should take that advice. We shouldn't have no one in the crow's nest that's going to lead us down the road of destruction. If so, we need to throw them overboard. So for us to get to the top, we have to get off our bottom.
Block my body, can't trap my mind easily. Explain why we adapt to crime. I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's how we own it.